wait for it to come there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Is there any pecuniary interest?
No.
I have none. We have no delegations. We have approved the prior meeting's minutes. That's the last council meeting. Business arising from the minutes. See a few items highlighted on our list in green. I don't know if we know where.
Right. So the items in green are completed or kind of put aside for now. Anything in yellow is ongoing. So the first one is like we talked about, something and notice out residents on St. Clair Street about their water service. I've decided to wait until the fall or to the spring to do that now when we get back at it.
That makes sense.
Signage on the 402 is dealt with. They have sent me an email saying they'll be putting that sign up. For all I know, it's up by now. I don't know, but they told me they would look after it. That's just the Point Edward sign on the 402.
It's not there yet. I
Okay.
come in on the 402 almost every day, so
Okay.
I haven't saw it.
And we sent a note to media about Christmas in the village. Hours of cleaning. I don't know specifically what the hours are, but they're cleaning here, Public Works and the police hall now, police station. And then sign request for the MTO for whatever reason was on there twice. So,
But it's coming off because it's in green.
yeah, anything in green won't come back on this list.
Okay. Great. We can move on to health and safety. Everything looked good on the inspection sheets. See anything out of order there?
I did not.
We can receive and file that.
Seconded.
And moving down to new business.
So this is, I've circulated the fee schedule for all the different fees that we have in the village. There are a few things in here that really they're actually already in place. They just aren't included in this bylaw, and it's specifically around like water rates. And so if we just go through it tab by tab. First one is the administration office. The food service vehicle license is 1,500 instead of 1,400. So we want to make that change. I can put that up on the screen so you guys can see it. Sorry. Oh, it didn't go. What is yeah. So, yeah, changing this 1,400 to 1,500. We also want to remove the replacement blue bins. We don't have those anymore, or we may only have one or two left. And we're not getting more. So we want to remove that from the price structure. Building bylaw, I think we should review those fees. It's been a few years. But that needs to be done separately with the building inspector and the building department of the county. So I would recommend we look at those rates. We're not recommending any changes right now, but just that we do an overall review of the building fees.
And those are based on cost recovery too, the time they put into it.
Yep. Yep. Then the next one is fire. And those rates have been in place for 2 or 3 years now. We're not recommending any changes there, but if you wish to, we could make changes. Planning and development, same there. We're not recommending any changes. Recreation, we've just updated the rental rates at the arena, so they're in place as of September 1 of this year, but the fee bylaw doesn't reflect them. So there is a motion of council to make those changes. We're just implementing them into the fee schedule. And then the final one, which is there's more there, and that's around the water rates. So again, I've put in red the current existing rates. The rates that are in black here are what's in the fee schedule, but the ones in red is what we're charging. So again, it'd be just updating the schedule to what is current.
Doesn't that get updated automatically when we do our water budget?
We change the rates, like Tina, Jane going forward will send an email over to Blue Water Power and they'll update what we charge. But we have to go in and change the fee schedule.
Okay.
So, I would say that for whatever reason, when we did this fee schedule review last fall, we didn't make the changes to what was being charged last year. Because these rates, like the 146, I believe that was 2 years ago's rate.
Yeah.
So. Because that's 15, that's 10%, a 10% increase from 146 to 161. We never had a 10% increase. That would have been 2 years of increases, so.
Yeah.
So we need to do better at, like, when we pass the rates, new rates. You know, potentially new rates in January, we should come in and update the fee bylaw. And maybe it's better to just do the fee bylaw then, but there's bound to be times where we change fees throughout the year. And it's just have to try to remember to implement them into the schedule.
So can we tie that bylaw into passing the water budget somehow at the same time, or would that have to be done separately?
We could, I think it's just a matter of remembering to do it, right? It's just, you know, just taking the time. Okay, we've changed these water rates.
What else is in?
We need to record them here so that if somebody wants to find it all in one quick place, it's all up to date information.
Just like what we do with updating the website.
Yeah, so Blue Water Power gets the email, like they want the email, they would like to have the email, you know, a month ahead of time, but we can't give it to them until we have that meeting in January. An email goes out to them right away, they upgrade, like they start charging the correct rates right away, but if we don't get them in this bylaw, they don't, you know, we need to make them.
Yeah.
Get it. So there's nothing. So there's nothing in here that we have changed that isn't already implemented. Now, Jane did talk about one change that she would like to make on, is it tax certificates?
Yes.
So we charge $50 for a tax certificate. And I believe my understanding, you'd like to change it if somebody wants it within a certain period of time, it should be more.
Yes. So currently is based on compared with the other municipalities, the average is $60. It's lower than the market price. So I suggest, you know, for 2025, it's kind of equals to $60. Also, if it's an urgent request, we can offer there is additional charge for the urgent request. So I think that's reasonable. That's the city side and the other municipality, they already do work on that.
So what do they do for emergency? Is it like 50% more? Or is it an extra?
2 days they give different is almost $20 different, additional $20.
So, okay, so, changing the tax certificate price to $60 and then in emergency cases, $80. The committee is okay with that?
Yes.
So this isn't printing out the record of what they paid last year. This is the stuff that a lawyer would need.
That's the recharge. You
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
How often would we do this?
That's tax certificate.
Yeah.
So far we issued around 35 tax certificates so far. I'm guessing 45 around the whole year.
Okay.
How many houses get sold?
Yeah.
There are,
Yeah.
there are
Some on a
other,
regular
Yeah.
basis then.
there's other times we have to do tax certificates, so it's not just house sales, but that's the majority of it.
Yeah,
Well, for tax certificate, it's not only for the ownership change, but it's part of the process. Ownership change, you know, based on the other municipality, they charge as well. For us, it's a free, I don't think we charge for the ownership change. It's $35 for ownership change. So are we going to consider to
So what circumstance would there be an ownership change where you wouldn't have a tax certificate?
Okay, if the ownership change, for sure, you need a tax certificate, because a lawyer need to kind of, to see the final, the tax reading on their account. But for me, if you don't sell your property, you still want to see the tax certificate. Maybe you're considering to sell your property. So property tax, property ownership, maybe not have it. Does that make sense?
So there was a gentleman in last week who lived at Venetian, who gave his apartment to his son.
Mhm.
And he was moving to a retirement home or something. So that would be a change of ownership without being a sale.
Yes, that's a really good example. They don't need a tax certificate.
Yeah,
Right, and they don't need to go through, the whole property resale, they just can change, go to the lawyer to change the
Yeah.
ownership change. But for us, ownership change, we receive a letter from the lawyer, we have admin work needed to do, so I'm saying, this is two separate admin work. Tax certificate, and then after tax certificate is done, if the property incurred, then we receive a letter from lawyer to say, hey, the ownership changed, effective data, so we have to do again. So that's two things. That's I'm saying, based on the work volume on the limited resources in our small municipality, are we considering to have, to charge you for that process? So it's up to you, Mayor and Council. I suggest we should charge because it's kind of, it's admin work there. This is just kind of cost of recovery. We didn't make any profit from that.
So we'd need to add in a category that maybe said ownership change without tax certificate.
This is true. The tax certificate is a tax certificate, and the ownership change is ownership, just two items, two separate items.
So we're gonna be charging, if Paul sold his house, he'd be paying tax certificate and an ownership change.
Yes, based on based on the request on the lawyer's letter, what they need. They don't, normally they can do separate process, they will not need to get.
And you're suggesting $40 for an ownership change?
For the ownership is, $30, for finance is $34.
Okay,
So I suggest $30.
Sure. Yep.
All right.
that sounds reasonable.
Okay, so one more thing. It's interesting, every month, we are printing or issuing the arrear notice and send out. It's 100 copies, so which means over 100 property owners, they didn't pay the tax on time. So for us, it's additional work. We have to calculate, run a report, print out, mail, no charge. So to speed up this kind of the tax payment process, for Sarnia, for the other municipality, $5 for one tax arrears. I think that's very reasonable. Whoever the tax owner, they owe money to the municipality, they have to think about $5 piece of letter, because for the postage it's $1. And I think by the time, the machine, the materials, everything that is cost, so
Yeah.
it's the cost of recovery. So 100 copies a month, the whole year is $1,200. So $5, so that's kind of $7,000 kind of cover our living cost.
So does that get added to the tax bill?
Now that, yes, that.
Yeah, because you're not
And on the tax, there, I can't, $5.
like on the interest.
yeah, that's the only, like, people pay penalty and interest, right? So is that not, are we kind of not double dipping, but
No, they owe the tax, but we do the work. We have to run our own paperwork and send out, at least the cover is a basic cover, the materials and the label.
Is this done like a month after the tax date?
Monthly, yeah, it's kind of after, normally it's the second week. We always give a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
weeks.
To lessen the load, because
Yes,
some people
yeah.
might come in.
See, interest is interest. I understand, and that's an additional task that we have to do
Yeah.
and an expense we incur just in paper and postage
So
even,
it's notification.
plus your time to
That's
prepare
right.
it.
Yeah.
And the machine
So-
will run, right, the stuff, the machine, bring the copier and papers, everything.
What would you call the fee though?
Is a year notice.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
Can-
it's
perfect.
very common, this one, it's not new, this is for years.
Okay. We could have that in as well. Okay, so where we go from here is, we'll make these recommended changes to the fee structure and then circulate it with the bylaw on, 2 weeks from tonight to have it approved at that time.
The council meeting at the end of the month.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty, save that so we don't lose any of that input.
Is there any other new business?
I just wrote down a couple of events as well.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to hit our village events on this. You know, because sometimes they come up before our next council meeting or just to, you know, to
Mhm.
promote them efficiently.
November the 3rd is Remembrance Day in the
Good one.
village. We always do the Sunday before the city and Angelon, so that they're separated. So that's Sunday, November 3rd. From the service club to the cenotaph. And then tonight's a council meeting. I didn't write down Christmas in the village. I'll do that next time.
That's okay.
I think it's the first Saturday in December.
December 7th.
December 7th is Christmas in the village. And they're busy organizing it now.
I'm sure the fire hall open house was already discussed.
That fire meeting this morning.
Yeah.
And then the fire group was going to the school because it's emergency preparedness week. So they were taking the food that was collected to the school today.
Good, it seemed like it was a really good turnout last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it seemed like more smaller children.
Yeah.
Which is encouraging, but if they all live here.
Well, personally, I had a great picture of my
Yeah.
son who 11 years ago was watching
Yeah.
the auto extrication, and then last night he was involved in the work.
Yeah, that
when
was
it
a
were
good
fired.
find.
So it's a good way to recruit in your village to show you what you do and what it's all about. And you might be recruiting a 10-year-old,
Yeah,
and eventually at
set
20
that
years down
spark.
the road, they'll join the fire department.
I think some of them just did. Oh, there's so many young ones.
Yeah,
Our a lot of our new recruits are young.
okay, we'll move on to the financial statements.
I didn't have any questions.
Anything on there, Jane?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
For now that we're in the 10th month of the year, I know that's up to the end of September. Great, you receiving 5 of those.
Seconded.
And our next meeting of the finance committee will be held November 12th. For adjournment.
So moved.